So tonight's program focus is Technical Assistance Tuesdays, where we really go over the nuts and bolts of business development and management. Entrepreneurs and leaders will leave with a greater understanding of the tools that we share and core components of starting, sustaining, and growing their businesses. Which leads us to tonight's gathering, centering intentional spending and saving, led by my teacher and partner and collaborator, Hilary Frost. We are so grateful to have Hilary tonight sharing her knowledge and experience around personal and business financial planning. Hilary Frost is an entrepreneur, social media personality, background actress and DJ, a mother and member of the Southern Ute Indian tribe. Over the past 10 years, she has been growing her business, Ora Louise Boutique, in the state of New Mexico, a small business that has been highlighted and featured by One Albuquerque that told her story of how her business was affected and able to pivot online during the pandemic. Hilary has been attending Fort Lewis College in Durango, Colorado, working vigilantly towards getting a teaching certificate in the Ute language to revitalize her tribe's language. Most importantly, Hilary shares her knowledge and empowers fellow people and entrepreneurs. So lucky for us, right? So welcome, my friend. I'll welcome you to the mic and feel free to take it from there.
Hi, everybody. It's so great to see so many familiar faces and, just people I've just got to know in the past couple of weeks. I love that we're all here. It's so empowering to hear the voices I have been hearing for the past 2 weeks. I work at New Mexico Community Capital. I'm a program manager there. And in the short time I've been there, I've become a financial coach. And becoming a financial coach means so much, not just to me, but like to the community and to my community. I've always kind of practiced budgeting and taking those steps into really figuring out what it means to me. What does money mean to me, and what does it mean to my family? And during the pandemic, it really opened my eyes about the value I have around money management and capitalism and all of that. And I saw my shop thriving, but I was like, but at what cost? And am I supporting Native businesses? So that's what I want to focus on now during this presentation, is really taking a step back in our buying power and our ability to support each other as Native women, as Native business owners. I see some of us are. Okay, so I'm going to do I guess I'll go into my presentation. All right, so the workshop we'll be going through is intentional spending and savings, with the emphasis on hashtag buy Native, hashtag buy Indigenous. Mike, hello. I'm going to introduce myself again. My name is Hilary Frost. My pronouns are she, her, they, auntie. I'm an enrolled member of the Southern Ute Indian tribe. I'm a program manager at New Mexico Community Capital. I'm a certified financial coach. I'm also the owner of Ora Louise Boutique. So in this presentation, I'm going to go over the cash flow balance of just kind of like personal budget and business budgets. I'm going to go over the steps of separating your business budget and your personal budget and why. 2, intentional spending. 3, savings goals. 4, I'm going to go over what I helped myself get out of debt was the Snowball debt plan and what that was and how you can put that into your financial well-being. So the reasons why you would want to separate your personal and business finances is verifying you have income through your business for banks and credit purchases. Also, personal versus budget assets and liabilities. You want to separate those. It also minimizes the personal tax fraud. It also minimizes internal company fraud. So the steps you can take to separate your personal and business expenses and your budget is setting up an EIN for your business, registering it with the state of New Mexico if you're in New Mexico, but your local state revenue to get your revenue number, and applying with your city if you have if you're in a city like Albuquerque, we need to register with Albuquerque. My business is actually registered with Rio Rancho, and looking into if you're on the res, if you need to have a business license on your res or reserve. And the next is applying for a business bank account. So those are the first steps you can take into separating your business and personal accounts. You would also want to look into hiring a bookkeeper or an accountant to help get you financially organized and separating internal controls for your peace of mind. Intentional spending, making a budget with your emotional well-being in mind. Make a list of your most important values, turning your values into money goals, making a budget with your emotional well-being in mind, practicing money mindfulness every day. These are some things I'm going to be going over. Making a list of your most important values. So this is where you want to get a pen and paper out and just start listing words that are value words to you. For example, security, adventure, family, balance, growth, passion, happiness, friendship, fitness, health, spirituality. You can add a few more words to that paper, or if you want, I'm going to take a moment to pause for a little bit so you can write and think of words that come to you that you value. Okay. So 2 is turning your values into money goals. So this is another part where we're going to write down our short-term goals and write down our long-term goals. So some short-term goals can be an emergency fund or emergency funds, and buying a car, paying off credit card debt. You can put in going to a powwow or cultural events. Long-term goals for saving for college, saving for retirement, and buying a house. 3, budgeting for your emotional well-being in mind. Is there a affordable option? So I've talked to a few people about this, is just trying to find simple ways to save money. So what I like to do is I like to download the apps to like the grocery store or Target or Walmart, and I do the digital coupons. So I clip all those coupons. Like in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh, I'm going to clip my coupons tonight. So I clip them. And what I like to do is the store pickup. And so it reduces the urge to overspend. I also collect points at restaurants. So like if you were to eat out, are you doing it online? Is there a point system set up? So those are ways you can, look at your spending and looking for like more affordable ways to eat out. Also shopping at places that can reduce your price on gas. So does your local grocery store do price reduction on gas? That is one thing that I've looked into. I share points with my family and tell them like, oh, I have extra points. You can take them to get that 10 cents off your gas. I also do local store pickup. Like I said, to reduce the urge to overspend. I do like to go to the store and be like, I want to buy this and add it to the cart. I want to buy this and add it to my cart. And not really realizing that I went over my budget, or you like leave like Target or Walmart and you're like, oops, I accidentally spent $200. So I always do the store pickup unless it's one of those days where I'm like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to buy what I want because I budgeted for this day. Budgeting with your emotional well-being in mind continued. Um, Researching lower prices and negotiating for lower prices. So that can be with like internet and cell phone services. That can be for like streaming, bundling. Bundling is another option. You can bundle your internet and cell phone together to get a lower price. Also, there's like bundling for streaming services. So I know there's an option out there for, I think it's like Hulu and ESPN and all those stuff, all those apps to get it at a lower price. So I would look into those options of bundling some of your services and providers. Also taking a look at your bank statements for reoccurring subscriptions and canceling those services you don't use. So for me, I looked at my bank statement and I saw that I was buying a magazine every month and it was being shipped to my house, but I was like, I don't ever really read the magazine. So I went into Wells Fargo and I looked at where on my bank statement where the transaction was coming from, and I canceled that magazine subscription because I didn't read it. It would just sit on the desk and I would just kind of look at it, maybe read 1 or 2 pages, but it wasn't something that really brought me joy. So I canceled that service just fairly recently. I took like a inventory of all of this stuff. So that's another thing with budgeting is making sure you take the time to reevaluate how you feel about your budget, what you're spending your money on, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Also alternating streaming services. So what I like to do is like I binge watch shows on Netflix. And when I'm done with that show and I don't feel like I really want to watch anything else, I will cancel my membership for Netflix. And then watch a different streaming service. So there's always 1 or 2 streaming services I'm watching for that month. And also like my husband, he likes to watch Amazon Prime, but I noticed that I bought the Amazon Prime and it was the videos because he wanted to watch this show. And I was like, okay. And he stopped watching it. And I realized he wasn't watching it anymore. So I just turned it off and I was like, he'll let me know when I need to turn it back on. But it's been about a month or 2 since that show, since he finished that show. So that's another thing. 3, budgeting with emotional well-being and well-being in mind continued. This could be tough, but remember you're honoring your values. So when you're cutting those expenses in your budget, just always look back at those value words that you wrote down. So family and security could also equal to buying a house. Health and fitness could also equal canceling a gym membership and doing at-home workouts. Family and health can also be meal planning and eating together. Another way to cut the budget, I always ask myself, like, does this bring me joy? I know we watched the Marie Kondo show on Netflix, and I was like, oh my gosh, it really did change like the way I viewed shopping and my things that live in my house. So I always kind of ask myself when I'm, out shopping, I'm like, do I have room for this in my house? And also like, do you have time for it? Like time to upkeep something like, a new shirt in your wardrobe or a couple new shirts in your wardrobe. You got to think about like the laundry and all of that. And for me, I really like plants. So right now I'm on a plant ban because I don't have room in my house anymore. So I will be doing a plant purge soon. Practicing money mindfulness every day. So we always hear the kind of like, oh, if you stop drinking coffee, you would save a lot of money, but I don't, I'm going to reverse that. So stopping to get a cup of coffee. For me, I always kind of ask questions like, do I have time for this? Is this a planned event, like a business or friend interaction or meeting? Is this within my weekly coffee budget? I do have a budget for my coffee. So on Fridays, I do stop at Starbucks and get a sandwich, and I get my points for that. So that's one of the things I think, being mindful of my spending. So I know on Fridays I'm going to do that. Um, Also, like, do you need it or do you want it? Continued again with the money mindfulness, practicing money mindfulness in your day-to-day life by buying local. So your hair salon, are you going to a local hair salon? Are you supporting a friend? Getting your nails done. Is that a high priority on your list? If so, then are you getting your nails done at an ethically not ethically sourced, because an ethical business? For your business too, you can also apply the mindfulness. So are you buying your fabric at a local store or a big box store? And the same thing for beads. Are you buying your beads at a big box store, a local store, or even a native owned store? My mindfulness too, eating out for lunch or bringing a lunch to work. So I always try to bring my lunch or pack a lunch when I go to work, just so I don't have to spend money and also take time out of my day to go actually just go pick up food. That does take a long time to do that. Um, Also practicing money mindfulness by supporting Native owned businesses. Is there a Native business that you could be buying your supplies from? So that leads me into my next slide. The importance of supporting our local community. Hashtag buy Native, hashtag buy Indigenous. We can't control the weather, but we can control who we support. Being mindful where you spend your money within your budget, personal and business. Is there a Native business that I could be supporting? So, like, you can take that back to your business. Is there a Native business that sells Native supplies? Uh, are you going to support them? You know, and being mindful being mindful in your buying powers. There is power in our native dollar. Are you buying local or at a big box store? That's another thing that you can also take a look into is, are you buying local or at a big box store, and taking power in your dollar. Also picking up a day to support an Indigenous business. So for example, on Fridays, I buy from an Indigenous business. I put that in my budget. So today I'm going to buy from an Indigenous business, or not today. So on Fridays, I do that. So I go through my phone and I kind of like, do I want to order online something, or do I buy from a bead store that is Indigenous owned? There's so many other stores out there you can support. Also marking your calendars with events like powwows, pop-ups, and Indigenous supported events. So now I'm going to talk about wellness savings and investing in your company. So wellness savings for your personal can look like emergency savings, savings for a down payment for an automobile or a house, retirement, an IRA, 401k, and college funds. So investing in your company is also accumulating assets in your business. So that could look like buying computers and electronics, shipping supplies, marketing and advertising, pop-up tents or rental offices, storage for inventory. So it's another opportunity to write down your savings goals. So the wellness savings goals. So a short-term savings goal would be, I like to say like the first 10 months. I don't like to say like a year, because I feel like for me, the concept of a year is still a little too long for a short-term goal. So that could be emergency savings, going to a powwow. So you want to factor in the gas, food, and hotel, a baby shower. And then like a midterm goal would be from 10 months to 5 years, saving for a down payment for a house. So that's a little bit bigger goal. yearly cultural events. So I put down like, so every year, for my cultural event is the bear dance. So, my mom and likes to make ribbon skirts. So we have new ribbon skirts and or just like ribbon dresses, and making sure that we're all outfitted for the day. Also, yeah, like weddings. Long-term goals can be for 5 to 10 years. So these are things kind of that are long-term savings goals, like retirement and saving for college, or saving for your kids' college. So I'm going to talk about the Snowball debt plan. So this is an accelerated debt repayment plan. So you'll take a list of all your debts, and you're going to sort them from largest to smallest, or smallest to largest, sorry. And you devote extra money each month to pay off the smallest debt first, making the minimum monthly payment on all the other debts. When you settle the balance for the smallest debt, you start on the next smallest debt. So I am currently debt free because I did this. And it took about 5 years to become debt free. I'm in like what I like to say, like phase 2 of my savings goal. And like fairly recently, I bought a house, and now I'm thinking a little bit long term, like retirement and saving for my kids' college fund. And then also just being mindful of my emergency savings. So, and this has helped me in that scenario of my savings goals. So I don't really have to worry about my student loans, or I don't have to worry about a credit card that I got when I was 20, which was horrible. I should never ever got that credit card. It took a long time to pay off all of those debts, but this Snowball debt worksheet helped me out. And I'm pretty sure I put it in the worksheets that I sent Jennifer. But I'll take a look I'll take a look. So what you want to do is pay a little extra on your loan or line of credit. It can help eliminate your debt faster. Make a plan to prioritize what loan can be eliminated first. So you want to get the debt name, how much you're owed, or how much you owe, sorry, and the minimum payment. So on this particular one, the minimum payment, I just put 100. I know some aren't that high. So the first payment would go to this total here. So it would be $4,900. And then the second month, say you had an extra $50 that you're going to put into your loan. So it would be the 100 plus $50. So it would be $150 that you're going to put to your loan, making it $4,750. And in the same month, say you had an extra $50 to add onto your minimum. So your loan would be $4,600. I did pay a few credit cards off faster that way. I did pay off, I did get a line of credit for my business. Like 5-6 years ago. And I was able to pay it off quicker. And the same thing with my car. I was able to pay it off a little bit quicker, even though I was in a loan for quite a while. I think I paid it off 6 months before I was supposed to, which was really awesome because I didn't have to pay that interest. All right. And then I just want to say thank you. And does anyone have any questions?
Thanks, Hilary. Appreciate it. Will you be able to share the slideshow with folks?
Yes, I will. I downloaded it and I will share it with Jennifer.
Okay, awesome. I want to open up to the community if they had any questions. I was trying to follow along, but I do have some questions around the bank stuff as well, but I'll let everybody else go first, or people, if you want to put your questions in the chat, that'd be helpful as well.
Sure. Hi. What I found in the past that would work for me And something like this was having to report to somebody what I did, but then it kind of feels funny, telling somebody my financial, like if I'm not really close to like my financial situation. Oh, like, I did this, and then, it just kind of feels really weird for me to do that, but I feel like I wouldn't do, like, I'm struggling, like right now I'm just doing like, I don't think I'm doing what I could do because it's just me. I think that's the hard part, but yeah, I know that once I have to report to somebody to say, this is exactly what I did. I think even when I did like a weight loss thing, it was when I had to report out and everything like that, that I did really well. But once they're like, okay, yeah, you don't have to do it, you're doing good, and then it stopped. So I don't know what you would suggest for how that.
Yeah, this is something, money's it's a touchy subject for everybody. And I just want you to know that you're like not alone in any of these aspects of like debt and like where you want to go and like the goals you want to achieve. You can set up a meeting with me if you would like, and we can kind of talk about values and your goals and where you want to be with money. And it's so different because, for me, I come from the four corners, and sorry, kind of, I know I was going to kind of choke up when I was going to talk about this because it's, I've seen a lot of predatory loans, and I've seen a lot of that go through my family, and just finding empowerment and saying like, okay, I'm going to take control of this. I'm going to take control of my debt. I'm going to stop the cycle of just predatory loans and stop the cycle of not figuring out what to do next. So I can definitely help talk to you more about this if you want to even open up to our cohort for the Native Women Loan Fund if we want to continue talking about that. And as a group, and how we can empower each other to hold each other accountable for our goals and what we want to achieve with our personal and with our business. Does anyone else have any questions? Or
I have a question. You had mentioned very early on in the presentation about separating your personal and business finances, and just some of those steps. I know like a lot of folks might not be able to afford a accountant or a bookkeeper at this point. Do you have any other recommendations for people who may not be going down that path, but just in the interim that they can do for their own personal accounting for business beyond trying to hire a bookkeeper and an accountant?
Yes, I will say definitely looking into the subscription for like Intuit for their subscription, and kind of keeping track of your receipts a little bit better, and keeping track of all of the keeping track of just like your expenses. Recently we just got everyone a box to collect, a file box a file box, so you can mark it like throughout the month that these are my expenses. This is my sheet for the month. We sent out a form that has like a personal finance form that has a budget, and it has savings goals and an overview. So I do want everyone to kind of take a look at that. We emailed that out earlier.
And she's an S corp. Okay. I also want to just add too, if any of you have like a business online, or you're working with Square or any other of those platforms, that's also a way to kind of manage finances separate for your business. So they have some of those tools in their tech space to be able to kind of navigate that. And one thing that I'll just share as a lender with previous experience, it's really good to separate out your business and personal stuff, especially when it comes to taxation, tax season time, and really getting a true understanding if you are making, if your business is making profit or sustainable.
Hello, my name is Cody, and I actually had a question about whether, because I'm a really small business, and I'm really debating about doing LLC versus just being an independent solo entrepreneur. So when I file taxes, like I don't know, I want to take it serious and do the LLC, but I honestly don't make enough a year with my profits to even get to an LLC. So I guess my question is like, at what stage do you know to go solo versus LLC? And once you do go solo, it's so hard to transition to an LLC because you got to reapply and then pay the fines, or not, I'm sorry, the fees to get there. So I'm just really debating, like I'm kind of on the fence as to which way to go. And then to like so how do I know, like, or how does a business owner know, especially when you're the only person, which way to go and when? And then my second question is, I guess, is there any resources that are in New Mexico or Albuquerque to get help with, doing taxes for your business? And I know that, using outlets like Square and Cash App and Venmo and stuff, and merging all that together is, important, but I guess it's just like having that assistance or the aid for that. Is there an outlet for it? Somebody mentioned Intuit. That sounds like a good resource. So I think I'll look at that.
Yeah, QuickBooks has the online platform, and you can subscribe to it. I really like that. I think it's a really great platform to learn. To just the amount of time I've been on it has just been super helpful for me. Also, yes, like Square and all of that. So you're at the very beginning of your business. So yeah, that's another thing, is that us, like, an LLC will protect you more if you have, like, say you make I'm not quite sure what do you make, earrings, or do you make like body butter? Oh yes, you do the eyelashes. So okay. So that's the thing. Like, an LLC will protect you more. So an LLC will protect you and your business. So just say if something happened and someone decided to sue you, if you were a sole proprietor, they could possibly come after your personal assets. So I would say an LLC would definitely be something that you should definitely look at, especially for cosmetics and like lotion.
Is there a resource? Because in order to be an LLC, you have to find somebody who will sponsor you to carry you through that. I've noticed it's not just like, I want to be LLC and then you go forward. There's actually more steps to it. But I'm just looking for resources within the Native community to get assistance on because I am new. I've been here for almost I'd say 2 years, but with 1 year being in pandemic, I didn't see anybody last year really. So it's just where do I go to find out more information about becoming LLC? So
Yeah, and I can definitely help you out with that. At New Mexico Community Capital, we do help out small business owners. We can also set up a one-on-one if you like. That's another thing that I think a lot of us have fear of. And also, if you go on to, I think it's the Albuquerque website, and you type in how to become or how to start your business, it'll walk you through the steps of getting your LLC, getting your state registration, registering with the city.
okay, I've actually gotten through that, but I stopped right when it says, do you want to be LLC? And then I'm like, I do, but then you have to do all these other steps. So, but yes, I'll look into it. Thank you so much, Hilary.
And
Thank you.
we are hoping to have attorney, a Native woman attorney, to kind of go through legal structuring. So exploring the different types of legal structuring and why people structure, whether S Corp, C Corp, LLC, sole proprietorship, and kind of what that means legally. So that'll hopefully be coming in the future. But thanks for the question. And NMCC, like Hilary said, they do a lot of technical assistance. And I know that they were, correct me if I'm wrong, any of the NMCC team, but they are actually supporting entrepreneurs through that process and if they want to form as an LLC or any other legal structure.
Yes. And then Ari just put the link in the chat for the Albuquerque website, how to start a business. Rocky, I think she's next.
My question is getting out of debt. What would you recommend as far as, let's say you have some accounts that are in collections, would you recommend paying the settlement or the full amount? Is there any difference in going about that?
Yes, so once it gets past, so that when the collectors start calling, I would definitely look into see how far along you are in that debt process. If it's coming up to that 7-year mark, it's actually going to come off your credit. So I would wait until I would look at where you are in the settlement. And you can also call them if sometimes when you call like the debt collection, that they will actually work with you and work out payments with you. So I would definitely call them and see if that's an option. Also see where you are with your goals in your credit and all of that. So it would help your credit a lot if you did pay that off. But also be mindful that if it's a 7-year debt, it's actually going to come off your credit, your credit.
Thank you.
Was there any other questions?
Yeah, I think there was a question that Leanne had around, I know this isn't kind of on the topic, but if you have your business on the res, you have to pay taxes on merchandise or report it. I honestly don't know. I assume it's dependent on tax policy on the res, depending on the res you live on. I'm not too sure though. So I assume that the best like small business department or the business, yeah, that's that. I would say that varies between tribes, but if anyone else has insight into that, that would be helpful.
Jamie, actually, I do. My name is Joni McSpadden. I'm a citizen of Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, but I work for the Oregon Native American Chamber. Mm-hmm. And my understanding from our legal experts is that if the business is on a reservation, they don't necessarily pay state taxes, but they are still responsible for federal in some situations. So it's again one of those situations that you need to specifically speak to a CPA who understands tribal law in your area.
Thank you, Joni.
I also wanted to just follow that up and say, if there's anybody on the call that's in business or looking at starting a business in the Pacific Northwest, ONAC does provide a lot of business education and resources for native small businesses. So I'll put my contact information in the chat if anybody's interested in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Joni. What a great resource. And thanks for joining us today. Yeah, and if anybody here has additional expertise to lend or share, feel free to put your contact information or your LinkedIn information in the chat as well. Looks like Lorna has a question.
Hi, Hilary. I have a question around, I guess, debt management. So I'm also a new homeowner and still in the process of reducing credit card debt. I'm trying my best to stick to a budget, and sometimes I surprise myself when I have that extra money. So I'm wondering, is it best to put it towards credit card debt or putting it towards mortgage debt?
Oh, yes, I would definitely put it towards your credit card debt. Mm-hmm. Mortgage debt is something that you can tackle kind of like after your credit card debt. But even at that, I would say also just putting that towards retirement, like taking half of it and putting it towards retirement. That's another thing that I'm taking a look at myself is, do I put my money into my mortgage, or my extra money into my mortgage, or do I put that extra money into a savings account? I actually just started a high yield savings account, so that's where I see the money working the best. So I would definitely start off with the credit cards and the credit card debt.
Thank you.
All right, and then is there any other questions? Any other questions out there?
Hi, this is Nanaba, and I want to, I know I'm joining this late, but I saw that Felicita said she wanted insight on Intuit. I use Intuit self-employed app. The difference between the self-employed app versus the QuickBooks version is that self-employed app also allows you to categorize your personal expenses with your business expenses. So I have separate business accounts and personal accounts, but I'm able to put both of those cards into self-employed app, and I can categorize them accordingly. It's been great for me, and it allows you to, if you choose to, connect it up to TurboTax. So it helps you with estimated federal taxes, but not state taxes. Thank you.
Thanks, Anaba. That's a great resource. Appreciate that share.
And then Leanne, yes, how do I feel about investing in stocks and Bitcoin? I actually have a little bit of both. So early on, like figuring out what Bitcoin was, I did buy a little bit of Bitcoin. It did gain some money. So I just feel like Bitcoin's one of those things that it's like a long term. I put in $50. It's 300, hopefully in like, 10 years, it'll be more than that. But it's just kind of one of those places that I don't see me pulling my Bitcoin out of there. And then stocks. So I do invest in stocks, but the only thing is that me and my husband come together and we talk about, just recently, we just talked about Roblox. I'd see that as a platform that, our kids play on. I see that it makes money, and that's a long-term stock. So we do have Roblox stock, and we actually do have some Apple and Nike. So that's another thing. I know cryptocurrency is crazy right now, but I would just say if you feel like investing in those, do it, but don't put a lot in there. Also, yeah, with stocks, look at the track record of that stock, really come to a decision if that is something you would want to buy. What I buy at dips. So like same thing with Nike. I bought Nike stock when it was, I think, $80 or $79. I'm not quite sure what it is right now. And those are just kind of like small investments that I put out there. But I also invest in a high yield savings account. That is something I've recently started doing. I wonder about those investments. I see them on Venmo and on my Venmo app.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that currently my shop takes Bitcoin, and I've been taking Bitcoin through my shop for the past, I think, 4 years.
And thanks for bringing this up. I put in the chat that we're actually going to have Northwestern Mutual do a whole series next month on small business as well as like an investment 101. So for those that are curious about wealth building, asset building opportunities, and then how that kind of connects with your small business goals as well. And we'll have that next month and we can tell you more about that. Jennifer will actually give you some of the dates, but thanks for that. Anybody else have any questions?
Hi, this is Davina from Navajo in the City, and I want to thank you for providing this information through Native Women Lead. And I wanted to know if by chance there was anybody that might be in this workshop here that deals with, social media financing, whether you're having to sell between states, out of states. Some contracts may be, I'm in Colorado, and if any of your contracts may be out of state, how do you kind of, what's the word?
Navigate.
Find out what your, navigate your tax ratings and percentages and so forth. I kind of have a little bit of trouble there sometimes. And I wanted to see if there was anybody who had experience with selling on social media and what type of resources you may use.
We have a great connection with Square, and we can ask them because they deal with entrepreneurs all over the country that probably sell online into multiple communities. But if anybody else has any other resources, please feel free to chime in.
I kind of have an idea. It's kind of where your LLC or your business is stated and where you sell your, like where you're billing your the transaction is happening. So the best thing is to talk to a tax agency or accounting, because personal and business taxes are two different. You can actually get more benefits with business than you would your personal. Like, it's kind of hard. I'm still trying to learn what to audit the business, and then our personal audit is different, but you can actually be missing out on a lot of great resources, which we didn't know, because our revenue was a small like 2,000, and then it jumped to like 10,000, and that's when you really want to really talk to an accountant to find out where what you could be using to itemize. So our tax is in Phoenix, so when we do one of our tours in another county, we only pay the Phoenix tax, and we don't have to worry about Navajo Nation or the other city tax. So it just varies in which state and what business the actual transaction happens. So when you get a business on the res, it's a little more complicated. So best talk to a CPA and really itemize what you're really spending. And that's why I was kind of glad I jumped on this. I'm still learning. So yes.
Yeah, the income there has jumped, so that was my question there. But trying to, like you guys said, navigate through there. If I could add 2 cents, this is what I would add. Many things I learned, just like many of you. One of them is somebody was talking about, sometimes there's challenges with saving money. I found it to be really fun when I get a piece of paper and able to visually follow something. And one of the things that I think we might have connection with is bingo, right? So there are many bingo sheets online for free, and it lists the amount of money you might want to save, 500, 1,000, 1,500. I started using that sheet to put petty cash aside for any type of unexpected expenses for my business and also for myself, keeping them separate. And it's actually a lot of fun. There are many boxes on a piece of paper. Something, depending on how much you want to save, it's going to have a certain number in the box, $5. If you want to save somewhere in the $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 range, there's boxes in there for 200, 300, and so forth. It actually makes it much more fun for me to kind of see my goal, crossing little boxes out and being able to say bingo, whether it be 1 row or 2 rows. So I wanted to throw that one out. The second thing I've learned is I'm not good with receipts. I just can't, they are mixed with my personal receipts. I sometimes have trouble just getting myself to sit down and separate those receipts according to whatever card I've used, whether it be my debit card or whatnot. So there are apps available out there, and one of them is on your smartphone if you've got one. For Apple, it's Inside Notes. At the very bottom, you're going to see an icon of the camera. When you click on there, it's going to say scan document. That has been a lifesaver for me. So when you're checking out, you bought some office equipment, office supplies, right there and then when I get in my car, I get the receipt, take a snapshot of it, send it to myself. That has been the easiest way to save receipts. So my 2 cents for that one.
I wanted to touch on the receipt thing. That is an amazing thing that you're doing. I am a bookkeeper and I deal with people's receipts all the time. And sometimes I get receipts of personal things mixed in with their business things. I also want to say, if you guys have trouble with receipts, the best thing you can do is exactly what she's saying, taking a picture right away, sending it to yourself, even sending it to like a folder in your phone to give to your bookkeeper, your accountant. And if you don't want to do that, if you don't have like the scanned text on your iPhone, keeping like a portfolio or not portfolio, what are they called? The binders that like binders,
Accordion binders?
Accordion binders, yes, thank you. Like accordion binders in your car, in your purse. It doesn't have to be like a huge one. It could be a small one. Keeping, it next to your credit card that you do use and putting it in there right away and writing, like, not even writing, just putting it in there, just so you have it separated. That would help bookkeepers and accountants a lot. All right.
Thank you for that. Along that lines, I think Hilary had brought up what's great about starting a business bank account. Hilary, do you know, for folks that maybe are not structured or who are legally structured, some of the things that a bank will request to get one of those set up?
Yes, so they will actually ask for the EIN number. They'll also ask for your state registration. And they will also ask for just like your social security card and just the documents like that. I know I've applied for my business account through Nusenda. So that's where I bank out for my business. And those were some of the things that I needed before I was able to set up my business account.
I did have one question. As going back to the predatory loans, I do have a business right now. We're incorporated. There's 5 of us. However, I'm the only Indigenous person in our group. We're all women, but I'm the only Indigenous person. And so I was, I filled out loans for, women-owned business and things like that. And then I was looking more into loans for Native-owned business. And some of them just didn't quite look right to me. They just looked different than the other information I had filled out. And so one thing I was worried about was the predatory loans, because I feel like, Black and Indigenous people, we get kind of targeted more for predatory loans. So does anyone know any sources to kind of help filter those out, or know of any lenders that are credible and qualified?
I would say Native CDFIs are a great resource for small business. Native Women Lead, we're piloting our own capital program to support Indigenous women-owned businesses. And more to come on that. We're going to be launching a fund next month for entrepreneurs who are seeking anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000. It's primarily right now because of the financial restrictions and legal restrictions in Arizona, New Mexico. And then, yeah, I would say Native CDFIs are a great choice. And then just compare the rates, the interest rates as well. Some do require a certain percentage of ownership. And since you said you were incorporated with a few other women that are non-Native, they do require maybe 51% Native ownership, but I'm not too sure. I think it's worth exploring with a local CDFI. And we have a great resource list that we can share that Oklahoma Native Assets Coalition did. And we'll share that out on a follow-up email, because they kind of did a national scan of organizations and resources that support Native women entrepreneurs.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure. I know we're at time, but Jennifer, did you want to I know you just put something in the chat.
Yeah, so thank you all for joining us tonight. We are at time and want to honor everybody's evening and get back to what y'all have to do. But before you all leave, we're hoping you can take our end of the session survey just to let us know about your experience here tonight and any of the ideas that you shared with us. I know you all had some great feedback and some inquiries around taxes and maybe going into a little bit deeper dive in budgeting. And so please continue to follow us. We will have more workshops, programs, panel discussions on these topics. And then, of course, follow Hilary. I just shared her email information, website information for New Mexico Community Capital, who also has amazing programming, technical assistance as well with Hilary, so you can further your learning. And thank you, Hilary, for all that you do for us, for our community, and sharing your expertise and your energy with us tonight. Again, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Have a great evening.